Hello there, welcome to another Codeflow tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to talk more about the HTML form input element. Let's go. So when talking about HTML forms, we've talked more about some things in the HTML forms like the label element, the form element, isn't the input element, some part of the input attribute and something like that. But they want to dive more into those input attribute. We want to know more about how to add more attributes to this and some other type attributes that they can make our HTML forms look quite good. So right now let's actually create a comment. We are still under HTML form, but it's mandatory to create a comment to designate the aspects we are moving into, making an input attribute. We're going to be changing most of the input type. So let's try and make a simple input attribute. And now we have the input type, which is known as the text. We've actually made use of that right here, but we need to make use of that right now. So we're going to create we're actually within the form element. So let's create a bit of a BR tag. We want to break like a serious break. We want to create a serious break, and right after the serious break, we can create what we want to create. So we need a label, and in the label we can write first name. Now we also need to create a BR tag to reduce what we're about to do, and let's create the input. The input is what we're actually talking about. The input, we can close the input, and right here we can have the attributes. The input attribute is known as type, and the type is a text. As you can see, the type, it is a text. Let's save this, and if I actually go to the browser and we preview this, we'll see it right here. Yeah, we can see it right here. Okay, but anyway, let's just add the second one. We've created a simple input to guide what we actually want to be written here. So right now let's just copy this. Let's copy this and paste it in the second place, and let's create a second name. And if we save this and we go to our Chrome and preview this, we can see that we have a second name. We didn't copy the BR tag. Let's give it a BR. We have to break it a bit. And so let's go to our Chrome and retrieve this, and we can see that we have a proper form right here. A proper form. So another one that we also have is the input type password. So let's open a bit of a label, copy this again, and just change the input type to password, and you can save this. And once you save this, you can go to Chrome and preview this. And what you're going to see is still first name though, but actually it's because we forgot to change this password. So you can give it a BR tag and then change this to password. And once we save this, and then you go back to your Chrome and you reload this, you can see that we have a bit of a password right here. We call it password. Then the next one we also have the input type submit, and this is just when you want to actually submit a document. So anyway, let's just try and give it your input type input. We're not giving it a label because it's just the button that is going to be submit. So inputs, and right in the input right here we can set in the type, and for the type we can set in submit, which is kind of quite good. Submit, and we can save this, and by the time we go to our Chrome and we reload this page, we can see a bit of a submit button right there. We can give it a line break though. Let's give it a BR tag, and let's save this, and by the time we go back to our Chrome and preview this, we can see that we have a submit button right below the form. So that's just a bit about the submit button. The next example is known as the reset button. Now what do you use the reset button for? It's just for us to to reset all the form values to their default values. Sometimes maybe you filled a nonsense form, or maybe you filled with the wrong information and you don't want to start deleting everything one by one. The best way to do it is just to click on the reset button. But most forms don't have reset buttons, but you can add it to your own form. So right now, create the input type, input, close it, and right in the input, you can create the type reset, and you can save this. And by the time you actually go back to your Chrome and preview this, you'll see that we have a bit of a reset form right here. Okay, we want to see how it works. Let me type in some bit of information here, another bit of information here, and once I click reset, everything disappears. That's how the reset forms. If we actually say we should work on how the submit form works, it's actually going to take time because we haven't actually discovered a way to, we've not talked about a way about how to send this information out of those web page. But anyway, it's good to know how the reset button works. The next one on our list is known as the radio button, and we've made use of that right here, but let's just still try and make use of that. Input type, you can set the input type to radio. You can scroll down and set this to radio. And once we set it as radio, we have to, it's a form of radio button though, so we have to actually create some things to fit in with the radio button. So create a label. Please delete this. Let's create a label, and let's write phone. Now you can actually copy. We want to actually make a bit of radio tag, something we can select. So we should have more than one radio input. Let's paste this 3 times, and for those parts, instead of phone, let me write laptop. And for the third part, I'm going to write television. And okay, so we have 3 radio buttons, but how do we actually know what to actually write? We can actually use a bit of a p tag, okay, a p tag to write choose your devices. Now, before we actually put a BR tag so we can break it, and let's put a BR tag and a BR tag here too, more of a BR tag here or so, and maybe that's just all for now. So let's save this, and by the time we go back to our Chrome, and so once we try to preview this and scroll down, you can see that we have choose your devices, and we've got our phones, our laptops, or our television. Okay, that's all we got for now on our radio button. Now the next one on our list is known as a checkbox, and we could have explored that here, but we decided not to. So right now, let's create a bit of a checkbox. So I'm going to type in the input, and I'm going to set the type. I'm going to set it to checkbox, and in the checkbox I can decide to write a label, and I can add in headset. So you actually know how the checkbox does. It checks the stuff as usual. Let's give it a BR tag so we can have the separating details here. So let's save this and go to Chrome for a preview. Reset this and scroll down, and you can see that we have it set as a checkbox here. You can click on it and unclick it, click and unclick it. But you can just unclick a radio button, except if you've set it to just select just one, which we'll discuss in the next few tutorials. So right now, let's just say this is what the checkbox does. Another example we can have is just the typical button. So let's create a typical button, create a BR tag to separate this, and create another input tag. Okay, close the input, and set the input type to button. And in the button, we are going to have to actually set another attribute for the on click. And for the on click, we're going to create a bit of an alert, and we can open bracket. Oh, don't click me. And we can actually create have the symbol. This is like more of a quote, a single quote, and we can close bracket. And once we actually save this, once we click on the button, it's going to write don't click me. Okay, and by the time we go to our Chrome and we preview this, we're gonna see this weird looking button. You're gonna see this weird looking button, and once you click it, you're gonna see don't click me. Now if you ask me why it's like that, I'm gonna tell you why it is actually like that. And for some reason, I think we forgot to actually put in a value. Please don't make that mistake. A value. Now I'll talk about value in the next tutorial, values, and we can write click me. That's what is meant to be written inside the button. So let's save this and then go back to our Chrome and preview this. You can see that our button has a bit of a click me, and once you click it, it brings in don't click me. So that's it. So basically the next one we actually have is known as color, an input type known as color. And this one is just select maybe a bit of a color for a web page or something like that. Yeah. So let's create a type. Let's create a type and we can put in color. And let's save this. Let's save this. And by the time we go back to our Chrome and we'll preview this, you can see we have a bit of a color picker. Once you click it, you can pick any color you want to pick or anything. We're going to actually have to find a use for this guy. But anyway, let's go down again. Let's actually see another one we can make use of. We have the input type. Actually, you can actually play with those input type. Like you can play with a lot of them. See, we have a lot of input type right here that you can actually select. But right now, let's click on the date. Let's make use of the date. And once you set the input type today, we have to create a label. So use the B outside to create a simple break, and let's create a label. And for the label, we can write enter your birthday. That looks much interesting. Enter your birthday. Let's try and shift this guy downwards so we don't conflict it with the rest. So you can save this. We've saved it and go to our browser and preview this, and we can scroll down. We can see enter your birthday, and right here we can select the date we want to select. Just click here and we actually want to scroll up and maybe select my birthday, maybe 2014 January 7th, and we have our date right here, which is quite amazing. So basically that's just a very simple look through the date part. We also have the date, like the date list, I mean the date in terms of the local kind of time, but you'll be making use of that. It's called the date time local, but you'll be making use of that most of the time. You can actually just delete this guy to the back, and no more like just delete the type, and you can see we have the date time local, okay, and the date time itself. So basically it depends on you if you want to use it. Let's return this guy back here. So the next one we have on our list is known as email, and it's just for us to try and use it to input our email. Sorry about that, close it. And we want to set the input type, and we can set it to email. But note the fact that when we set it to email, that means we have to have a label to show that this is what you're meant to type in your email. So label, you can write in enter your email and save this. And by the time you save this, you can go to your web browser and preview this, and you can see that we have a bit of a field where you can type in your email. That's just basically what the email does. Now we also have something called image. Now for the image, we use the input tag again for the image, and basically what the image does that it defines an image like a submit button. You can press it to submit, which is very weird, but it's still cool. Let's close this tag and let's so set the input type to image, and after setting to image, we can set the src, and we can define where we want the image to be submitted to. I can just put a slash, and once we go back, we know how we do it. User desktop, scroll down, we got this website projects and images and architecture. Quite good. And we can set the width to what we want to be. The width, I want the width to just be 50, and I want the height the height to be maybe 70, and that's all. I can just save this, and by the time I go to my Chrome and I preview this, we can see that we have this image right here, and I can just click it if I want to submit, but it's going to just take me back to the project. Well, anyway, it doesn't really actually matter that way, but you actually know that is what the guy does. Takes me back to this guy. So click on it and I'm right here back. So that's just it. So the next one we have on our list is known as the input type file. The input type file. So you're going to have to set the input type to file. And what it basically does is that define a place where you can actually select a file. And once we have to do that, we're still going to have to create a label for it. So let's give it a breaking tag and let's create a bit of a label. Choose your file. I think now you remember what I'm talking about. So let's save this, and by the time we go back to our Chrome and we preview this, we can see, once you scroll down, we can see that we can actually choose a file here. So basically, we also have another field, another input type. Let's give this one a BR tag, and it's known as month. When you just select maybe how to enter a month, we can close this. I don't think you're going to be making much use of that actually. Just select the month and you can save this. Although we actually have to create a bit of a label that maybe select your month. Let's create a bit of a label just for the show. Label, and let's say select your month, and let's save this. Now by the time we go back to our Chrome and we preview this, we can see that once you scroll down, we can see select your month, and once you click this, it's just you selecting your month, which is quite amazing. Another one, which is the last one, is known as input type number. So let's just give this a BR tag, and once we give this a BR tag, we can actually use this to define maybe quantity of something. Okay, so let's write label and let's close it, and we can write select quantity, and we can select the input and set the input type to number, and let's save this. Let's save this, and we can have this select quantity, and we can type in the number we want to select. Okay, and as you can see, we can manipulate it even right here. That's to change the quantity. So basically, this is just a bit of the full intro into HTML input types. I mean, mostly about the input attributes. And so we've gone through the input type, the reset, search, submit, radio, range, password, numbers, and more. So in next tutorial, we're going to talk more about the input type, but we call them I think we call them the input type, a bit of the input type attributes. It's still part of the attributes though, so I don't talk about them in the next tutorial. There are many more you can actually use here. We have the week, we have just a lot. We also have URL. You can actually enter URL. We have time, we have patterns, we have tail. Okay. And one thing you need to know about is the fact that once you're actually making use of time, sometimes you have to write some patterns for some stuff and stuff like that. So when we talk more about the input attributes in total, we're going to talk about that part. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next episode.